This is part of a series where we explore places not just by location, but by feeling, rhythm, and reflective pause. Welcome to the 5-minute series.
We went down to Collier State Park, which is on the west side, southwest actually, of Florida. We were camping for the weekend, so I decided it is a good time to show how to make a tent. Now this is a 3-bedroom tent. It's a huge tent actually. It can house about 10 people. Now it's a fairly old tent. For me, the fun of camping is, the first part is to make up the tent. It is fun to make a tent, figuring out the various parts, etc. And so it's nice when somebody else is helping you. Now in this case, Farmer is helping me how to set up and how to reach poles from one end to the other, etc. Now previously you saw parts of the tent, and a lot of people still have difficulties in making a tent. Even the simplest ones, people have difficulties in making them. Now you have pop-up tents now. You just open and it just flips open. There are other tents that you have to make. So now this one is, like I said, it's an older tent, and it's very huge, and you just got to make them, and they are color coordinated in many cases, but sometimes you lose track of those colors also, and so it's challenging sometimes, but it's fun. These are tent poles. They are normally fiberglass poles, and so you can bend them to an extent, and they come attached like with an elastic band where you can fold them to pack them, but open them up, and then they connect to each other so that it becomes a long stick. Their function is to lift up the tent from the ground and also keep the shape and the sturdiness of the tent. These hooks, they are peg hooks. They normally secure the tent to the ground. That'll be the first thing you will do. You would anchor them onto the ground. Usually if you have a mallet, you would hit it with a mallet. Usually you can just push them in, by hand. And once you are anchored, and then the poles are gonna attach to the ground, so they will be in place and your tent won't move. Also, these pegs, that you put on the ground, they come in different shapes today. It used to be just one kind, like in the picture, but now they come in different shapes and different forms. So your tent would have in a little bag these pegs. There's more details in the description how to set up a tent. You can read that also. At this point, what we are doing is, we are sending these fiber poles, through the areas, like on the cloth of the tent, so that when we lift, those will be in place, and they will not shift. and that's what we are trying to do. Now this is a triangular tent, so in other words, there are 3 poles you would just go from to make up that triangle, and that's what we are doing. And it's guided through stitchings in the tent, so you will understand that when you actually put together a tent. Okay, so finally the poles are like in places, and now we can lift up the tent. So you see, and then once you lift them up, now in this case, they just get attached to the ground, or on the ground cloth, which is the tent's cloth. It has little hooks, and we just put them in so that it's in place. So now Farmer is actually holding it from the center. Like you see, it's like I said, it's a big tent, and she can stand in the middle. And then I am just putting them onto the ends where it'll keep the shape. And once this is done, the fly, the Rainfly, will just go on top, and it'll attach again to the poles, and you will see that later on. This process could be a little bit tedious, but just have patience. You will get it done. Just like I said, part of camping, making up the house and setting up everything that belongs in the house is the funnest part, actually. Now, I have done this tent many times, but if you see, even a veteran like me, struggling to get it right. So, this is a normal process, and it is part of the fun of camping. Sometimes you will see the same frustration your neighbors are having putting up a tent, and I would normally go and help them, and we become friends. And this is also fun. Now here, if you see, the cloth has some attachments that you can put it onto the pole, clip it onto the pole. Now all of these things are the ones that give strength to the pole, strength to the tent. And like once everything is put in place correctly, the tent is not going anywhere. But then on the some tents will have on the ground with cord, to tie up also. Now you will see that once the process is getting done, you will see what is happening here. Now we're preparing at the moment, there are 3 sets of poles because there are 3 rooms on each end of the triangle. And so we are preparing to make up the rooms now. And those also have those poles, and they will also tie up onto the floor, onto the ground. this is the completed tent. I know that the last part you didn't see, but just like how we did the first part, it is all the same way that you would do it.